to the dim, where the walls forget my name, where every breath is slower than the second that it claims. I let the weight of all my unfinished sentences slide from my shoulders like fabric from impatient hands. The bass under my rims answering the bass in the dark. One low note at a time, circling, until thought itself is offbeat, until memory arrives late to its own scene, and the piano drops its heavy, clustered questions in the corner, almost ugly, almost tender, like the way desire never lands exactly on the one, always slightly after, always slightly before. I whisper my vows into the spaces between the strings, let consonants fall behind the bar line, syncopated surrender, nothing urgent left to prove, no story left to polish, only the soft permission of knowing, not holding, not resisting the gravity of this room, my pulse stumbling with the bass, my tongue tracing modal shadows over chords that do not resolve, that do not apologize. Inside this hushed dissonance, I loosen each finger from the edge, I loosen my name from my mouth, until even the idea of staying strong feels far away, until I am only breathing, only swaying, only the warm outline of a body unclaimed by history, unpromised to the future, dissolving into silence that hums back one low note at a time. After the last thought fades, after even worry grows bored and wanders off, there is a strange white space inside me that feels both foreign and deeply familiar, like a lover's shirt worn by my own body, and into that space the bass speaks first. One low, sustained note stretching across the quiet, like a bridge, patient, unafraid of how empty everything suddenly is. The piano lays down dense, slightly sour harmonies that refuse to explain themselves, shadows at the edge of the room, and I let my voice rise, barely above breathing, a whisper tracing small circles around the lingering chords, syncopated, lazy, unconcerned with arriving on time. I am done with urgency, with meaning, with the type choreography of being impressive. Here I am only a mouth, a spine, a slow heartbeat, learning its its own tempo again. I sing nonsense syllables, almost words, half-remembered phrases that never quite assemble into a statement. And somehow that says more than any polished confession could. The mode shifts like light through a curtain, subtle and endless, and I follow without thinking, letting the current move my hips, my ribs, my tongue, everything looser now, softer, deliciously imprecise. By the time the final bass note falls away, there is no question left to answer, no decision left to make, only the warm evidence of my own breathing, the gentle ache of having been inside a sound that asked nothing of me but presence and gave in return a quiet that hums beneath my skin long after the room goes still. All day the world has been loud in my blood. Headlines and deadlines and the dull mechanical buzz of pretending I am fine. But here, where the light is low and the room is small, the noise finally lets go of my throat, slips out of my muscles, and the bass takes its place, one soft insistent note at a time, humming under my sternum like a promise that no one will interrupt. The piano presses down on thick, unresolved harmonies that sound like the inside of my chest, complicated and somehow beautiful anyway. And I slide my voice between them in a near silent murmur, each line arriving late, syncopated against the tired, steady patience of the bass. I do not need to be clever, I do not need to be strong, I only need to be honest about the small, exquisite relief of not performing competence for a moment, of letting my flaws show in the slight crack of a note, in the way a phrase falls apart and then regdres itself a bar later. The mode wanders but never rushes, like a walk taken with no destination except a way away from the noise, toward a softness that feels almost indecent in its gentleness. I taste every breath before I sing it, feel every word on my tongue before I risk the air. And by the time the last dissonant chord fades, the loud world is still out there. But inside this quiet, inside this song, I am nothing but breath and bass, and the fragile, gorgeous courage of letting go. Tonight I take my hands off the wheel of my own story. Let the bass steer instead with one low, unwavering note at a time, tracing a road I cannot see, but somehow already trust. The piano throws up jagged clustered chords like strange city lights at the edge of my vision. Dissonant, alluring, not quite safe, and my voice curls around them in a hush that could be prayer or could be a confession muttered into someone's neck. Syncopated entrances that ignore the downbeat, entirely slipping between the cracks of the measure, the way fingers slip under a fabric. I stop trying to sing beautifully and start singing honestly, allowing each breath to arrive when it wants, phrases breaking in the middle like waves, like laughter, like someone changing their mind halfway through a promise. The mode shifts beneath us, lanes merging, lines blurring, but I do not reach for control. I reach only for sensation, for the low vibration of the bass in my sternum, for the way dissonance turns the air just slightly electric, grazing the small hairs along my arms. I whisper into that charge, letting go of plot, of destination, of the need to appear composed, and in that shapeless wandering chorus. I find a new kind of balance, one where my not knowing's not a problem to fix, but a rhythm to dance with, where drifting is not a failure, but a tender, dangerous joy. Hands off the wheel, mouth close to the mic, heart finally unguarded in the dark. I do not fall all at once. I fall in slow internal inches, places no one sees, like a dress slipping in the dark, with no witness but the air. The bass marks each quiet descent. With one careful note, as if counting vertebrae, as if blessing each small surrender with a low, forgiving hum. The piano leans on blocky, unresolved harmonies that hang like questions in a doorway, invitations without instructions. And my voice moves through them like smoke, whisper thin, deliberately late, syncopated against the steady patience of the bass, every line a half-truth. Every vowel a soft refusal to be precise. I am not here to narrate my undoing, only to accompany it, to give it rhythm and temperature. The mode drifts under me like a slow current, shifting the color of the room from blue to violet to something almost black. And with each shift another piece of me stops resisting, shoulders dropping, spine loosening, thoughts unhooking from their anxious loops. I circle the same melody, the way fingers circle the same grooves, gentle, fascinated, unafraid now of the tenderness it reveals in this quiet. Nothing is demanded of me but honesty of sensation, not clarity, not closure, just the simple, erotic permission to feel without organizing, to want without naming, to rest without earning it. And as the final dissonant chord lingers unresolved, I realize I have fallen all the way through myself and landed somewhere softer than I imagined, a place where even my silence is finally allowed to breathe, finally allowed to breathe. In this dark room, the only thing dressed is my caution, layered in habits and old rehearsed lines. But breath has always been bolder than thought, and tonight it slips out first, naked and slow, brushing past my lips in fragments of melody. The bass catches each exhale with a single low note, like a palm placed flat on the small of my back, steady, unhurried, promising nothing except presence. The piano drops dense, almost rude chords into the corners, dissonance, blooming like bruises that somehow feel like proof that I am still here, still feeling. I let my voice hover just above a whisper, as if any louder would scare the moment away. Syncopated phrases draped over the offbeats like a shirt over a chair, casual and inevitable. The mode shifts beneath us, subtle shades of minor desire, darker than lighter than dark again. And I follow without asking where it leads, letting words fail me on purpose so that sound can touch where language never quite reaches. Each note a fingertip, each pause a mouth left open, waiting. I do not search for answers in the harmony, only for space, for the small clear pockets of air where I can finally down my armor, my performance, my need to be more than a body softly moving through time. By the end, when the last bass note fades into the walls, even my caution is unclothed, folded gently on the floor beside everything else I forgot to keep on. Your name sits heavy at the back of my tongue. A stone I do not drop, a word I never quite allow to land. And the bass feels it first, each low note circling the syllables. I will not form, drawing wide, patient orbits around the absence. The piano presses down on clusters of sound that ache at the edges, dissonant enough to taste like restraint, like biting back a confession at the last possible second. I thread my whispers through the gaps, entering late, leaving early syncopated half-thoughts slipping between the beats. I sing of anything but you, and somehow mean only you. Every modal shift a different angle, the same unsent message. Every breath a letter I fold and hide instead of send. My voice stays near your ear, even if you are nowhere in this room. Close mic intimacy, turning each soft consonant into a secret shared in the dark. I do not chase climax, I do not chase release. I stay in the long low simmer where wanting never has to decide, where the body never has to choose between speaking and staying safe. The bass and I trade control. Sometimes my melody pulls it forward, sometimes its gravity drags me under. And in that pull, I feel my shoulders loosen, my spine remember it is not a wall. By the time the last chord hangs unresolved in the air, I still have not said your name. And yet the silence that follows is shaped exactly like your hand. At the back of the club, where the light forgets to reach, the smoke hangs lazy, and the air tastes like secrets left unfinished. I lean against the night and let the bass talk first. One low syllable at a time, steady, unbothered, tracing a path through my ribs with every note. The piano answers in thick, slightly bitter clusters, chords that sound like arguments no one bothered to resolve. And over that uneasy truce, I let my voice slip in sideways, barely louder than a thought, whispering lines that fall after the beat, like clothing falling after a decision already made. Syncopation turning language into a slow stutter, a of wanting and waiting. I do not raise my volume, I lower your breathing instead. Each phrase a fingertip on the inside of your attention, drawing circles, erasing edges. The mode shifts under us like a bed in the dark. Subtle changes of color with no announcement. Only the sensation that something just got deeper, slower, more serious. I tell stories without names, confessions without details, and you fill in the missing faces, the missing hands, the missing rooms, until your own memories feel like part of the song. Here in this hush, where the world outside the door cannot quite remember us, I let the last of my tension slide down the stem of the mic, pooling at my feet. And in its place there is only breath, only rhythm, only the soft, dangerous pleasure of being almost heard, almost seen, suspended on a low note that refuses to resolve. There is a narrow hallway between pulse and surrender, and tonight I walk it barefoot, each step a soft consonant, each hesitation a vowel stretching over too many beats. The bass marks the distance in low, deliberate thuds. One note held like a long stare across a crowded room, refusing to look away. The piano spills thick, clustered tones into the corners, little pockets of tension that bloom and wilt before they can resolve. And I let my thoughts arrive late, deliberately off the grid. Whispering melodies that lean against the wrong beats on purpose, like bodies meeting in secret stairwells. I confess nothing clearly, my mouth shaping questions that sound like sighs, promises that dissolve into air before the bar is done. Syncopation turning my heartbeat inside out, trading places with the bass until I am no longer sure who is leading whom. I feel each modal shift like a hand sliding under fabric, subtle, almost polite, yet undeniable. And the more the harmony avoids closure, responds not to drama, not to pain, but to a slow animal softness that has nothing left to defend in this dim, forgiving corridor. I can finally misstep, fall out of time, let the line between wanting and resting blur, until I am only breath pressed lightly against rhythm, only a body hovering between staying and letting go, humming wordless into the space where surrender stops needing a reason. The room forgets to tick, and in that failure of time, my skin begins to listen. Every pore a doorway, every tiny hair an antenna tasting the air for the shape of your absence. Bass notes crawl along the floor like slow animals, single patient footsteps that never hurry, never explain, and I let my shoulders fall from their guard posts, let my jaw unclench its archive of almost said words. The piano leans in with thick, sour harmonies that should not feel like comfort, but do, like teeth lightly resting on a pulse without the need to bite. I murmur fragments that are more breath than language, syllables leaning across the bar lines, deliberately late, deliberately unsure, letting rhythm pull at me the way tide pulls at an ankle left in the water too long. I am not brave here, not strong, not wise, just warm and slow and willing to be rearranged, to let touch become weather, to let silence become body. You are nowhere and everywhere, a rumor inside each dissonant chord, a ghost in the upper register, and I keep singing under my breath as if I could lure you back or finally release you. I do not decide which, I only feel the gravity between bass and voice, push and pull, hunger and rest, until even the idea of resistance feels like noise in my skin. No longer guarding, simply shines in the low light, learning stillness the way a tongue learns a new forbidden word.